object is to find people's real needs, to develop products which are of real benefit to people in whatever way, and to do that at a price that they can afford to do for 10p what anyone can do for a pound.
My father was always thinking about the next invention, new ideas. They were pretty much constantly in his mind and always tinkering with the next big thing. He played poker and cards a little bit, but didn't have much hobbies outside of the inventing and the designing, so that was where his heart was.
I think what drove Clive professionally was he's an ideas person, so he wanted to come up with something completely new that everybody would adopt, often price-based. So what really interested him was to come up with something really low price point and with really clever engineering. That's really what his goal was, to have a product that everybody wanted and everybody needed.
Sir Clive Sinclair, we knew about because he would be on news. You knew who he was, some great British inventor, but I don't think we sort of realised at the time the significance of what he was innovating in and what it would lead to.
One of the strengths of Clive was that he was newsworthy. He could capture a lot of column inches. He was a personality. He was a bit of a maverick. People wanted to know what was he going to say, what was he going to do next, and people interviewed him, people wrote about him, and by attracting and absorbing that interest, of course, he brought business to Sinclair Research. He sold the product through his own persona.
Clive started in journalism, so he would write for Practical Electronics or Practical Wireless, and one of the first products he did was actually called the Micro Midget. That was like 1958, which was a predecessor to the Micromatic, but it was a similar thing. It was a matchbox-sized radio, and it took him a while to commercialise, but this product was hugely successful by mail order.
Clive had always had a very strong preference for mail order. There isn't a lot of inventory sitting out there, and if you can advertise very effectively, you're giving up less of your profit margin than you are to a retailer.
Part of the reason why this was so low cost was because he found out that transistors that were thrown away as rejects, you could test them and they were actually good enough to use in a radio, so he'd buy these transistors for next to nothing.
And then hobbyists could buy those, and you'd buy them by the 1,000 or something, separate them into little bags, test them, and then sell them as tested components.
I think the strategy was to make things that were small, make things that were appealing to an audience that we already knew, and make them have better margins built into them. So you had to make them with cheaper components, if you could find them, and make them in ways that would be easier for them to put together, so we didn't have too much to spend on repairing.
So Clive used to do mail order amplifiers. So if you wanted to build a PA system in the 60s, you could buy one of these electronics kits, get some speakers, and you've got a PA system. And one of his early customers, in fact, was Alan Sugar. So Alan Sugar used to turn up at the Sinclair office, he'd buy all the reject amplifiers, repair them, and then sell them on a market stall. And that was quite something, because obviously Alan Sugar did his own range of stacking hi-fi, and then obviously Amstrad became a competitor against Sinclair later on.
When I first met Clive, it was obvious immediately that he was an incredibly bright guy. Clive always read an enormous amount of technical journals, so he knew what was going on in numerous fields of electronics, display technology, semiconductors, etc., etc.
All the technical stuff, he would read the literature and could pick it up very quickly. His bookcase at home was heaving with techie stuff. I know when he designed the square eel, which was one of the satellite dishes, I had a book on the kitchen table 4 inches thick. That's something like theory of satellite dish design. And, you know, he could read that style of book like a novel.